Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Social Liability Podcast, the only podcast where two middle-aged men sit around and complain about the people that violate the social contract we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co-host, the Buck Grundle, giving you a slew of interesting stories this week with the theme Dinner and a Show. What have you found for us this week, Buck? I mean, because I was getting them from you, and I noticed they all had kind of like a recurring theme going on.
Well, I've got some interesting fast food follies.
Fast food follies,
yeah.
But we still name
fast food follies, man.
Dude, I've one of my favorite, actually, let me rephrase that. One of my wife's favorite stories about me is at a fast food line, and this is definitely a not safe for work story. So if the kids are listening, maybe they shouldn't be. But we were, she was on the phone with me. And I was at a McDonald's drive-thru in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania on Steinmore Avenue. If you know where that's at, I'm sorry. It's a horrible McDonald's. But it wasn't the restaurant that had my ire that day. No, it was the patron in front of me who was stopped. Literally, car in park. Car in front of her goes, and it's her turn to get up there to the squeaker box and go... Instead, she just sits there, looks at her phone. I literally watch her look up, see the car in front of her is gone, and go back down to play with her phone. So I toot, get a little toot. And finally she gives me the finger, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you too. And she pulls up, and then she does her order, and then she just turns around and looks at me. And I yell at the top of my lungs out my window, "What the fuck you looking at, you llama-toothed bitch?" Not one of my, this is a socially outstanding citizen right here, folks. No, this was me at my worst, and I understand that. And that is, unfortunately, one of the stories my wife loves to tell people about how I get angry. So, I mean, wow. I think, yes, I'm guilty of violating the social contract once in a while, and I think that was one of those instances, but... How can you not get angry in a fast food drive-thru line? Really, everybody does.
You know what? I really don't anymore. I really don't. And it's not because I'm above it or whatever. It's just that I've had like a life-changing experience that has forced me to be more patient. The day you become handicapped, you learn how to master the art of sit there and fucking wait.
Well,
that's it.
You pretty much always have to sit there and wait.
Yeah, I looked at that situation and I was like, well, if I got to sit here and wait, thank God I brought my own damn chair.
Dude, it is ridiculous. In this town that I live in now, we are in, they call it a city, but bullshit. It's still rural Oklahoma. And we have a McDonald's in town, and I know this because everybody goes there for every meal of the day. It's ridiculous. And the line literally stretches. It's in a strip mall, and it literally stretches the length of the strip mall. And it's every time you go up there. If you see a line that is only wrapped around the building once, it's like, ooh, they're slow today. And they still have styrofoam cups down here everywhere you go. So you always see everybody walking around with a freaking styrofoam cup full of cola in their hand, wondering why, but I'm drinking diet. I don't know why I'm not losing weight.
Aspartame. Yum.
Indeed.
Yeah, see, I'm the guy at the drive-thru that you would seriously, you wake up and you're like, I'm going to go to the drive-thru today. You say a little prayer going, I hope I'm behind Buck's car. Because not every time, but it very regularly, when I go to any kind of drive-thru, I go up to the window, I pay for my shit, and I look at the lady or the guy, whatever, and I go, how much is the car behind me? And they'll tell me, whatever their total is. And if it's less than $20, I go, I'll pay for that too. And I just drive off. And, it's kind of like people look at me and they're like, well, why would you even do that? Why wouldn't you want to get credit for, doing something nice for somebody? I'm like, because I actually had a person. Because, I went up Went to the drive-thru, paid for my stuff, did my customary, like, I'll pay for the car behind me. And then they were like, oh, your fries aren't ready yet. Can you just pull forward and wait? I'm like, sure. Pull forward. I wait. And then the car behind me finds out that I paid their bill. And I'm still sitting there. And I immediately have to start playing a gamut round, like lightning round of 20 questions. Because, you know, you go up to a drive-thru and the last thing you expect to hear is for the person who you are about to pay going, actually, it's already taken care of. Yeah, like, that's the last thing you expect. So, you know, when this person got up to the window and their shit was paid for, and now I'm just sitting there waiting. Like,
awkward.
Like, well, I mean, like that guy's got no idea that I was just told to pull forward and wait for my fries. Like, he's got no idea that. Like, I could be pulling forward because maybe I had a change of heart and now I'm going to try and get his money from him.
Now you're going to double.
Like, this dude came up to my window. He's like, what the fuck is that, man? I'm like, whoa. Who are you? He's like, I'm in a car behind you. I was like, dude, like, I never expected to ever have to answer to somebody. Like, I like to pay for the person behind me just to buy myself a little bit of good karma. Like, that's all I'm doing. I'm just I am purchasing good karma. That's all I am doing. I've never, ever had to, like, pull forward and wait. All I'm doing is waiting for fries. Enjoy your meal. Whatever you got, I still got it. I'm not changing my mind. I just want my French fries. He's like, well, I'm not giving you anything. I was like, I don't want it.
You didn't ask for anything, asshole.
I was like, all I want for you to do is just have a better day than what you were having before you came to this drive-thru. Like, I did not intend for this to ever even raise an eyebrow. Like, you were supposed to pull up to that window, hear that it's paid for, and then me being gone. Like, you never having to wonder any of this stuff that's going through your head. I was like, dude, I am so sorry. He's like, you're seriously just, like, fucking paying my bill. I'm like, yeah. You know, people get really suspicious of that shit. And I never realized it. So if you follow suit and actually, like, get a wild hair up your ass and decide to, like, pay for the person behind you, make sure. Make sure, like, commit to it. Like, you got to pay, you got to pay the bill and whatever. But you look at that lady and be like, listen, like, please make sure that I don't, like, is your fry line behind? Like, am I going to have to wait, like, 5 minutes for a thing of fries, or you guys got this?
Because I'll be back for my fries, thanks.
Like, no, seriously, man, like, after that, I would rather drive around the building and wait in line again to just get my fucking fries, so that way I don't ever have to encounter a person like that. Because I can't imagine what was going through this guy's head. Like, why is he just sitting there waiting after he paid? What, did you want me to come up and thank him? No. I just want my fries. See, like,
we did that. My wife has a tendency to do that occasionally when she's feeling very karmic. And I was in the car with her one time, and she paid for the car behind us. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Because their bill was more than our bill. And we pulled up, and we got stuck. And I looked in the back window, or in the mirror, rather, and I'm watching. And she doesn't even, like, look up and wave or anything. She's just like... And we asked the person in the window, did they pay for the car behind them by chance? No. Oh, okay. Maybe they needed the money. But if that's the case, then why the hell they go into a fast food window, in my opinion? But hey, that's a different story entirely. But let's go ahead and move into our first story of the day. And that is going to be mass teen girls assault Dunkin' manager in New Jersey after being denied free donuts. Okay. So
that is a perfectly acceptable reason to assault somebody, by the way. If you don't get free donuts from this person, why wouldn't you cut a motherfucker?
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously.
I guess. I mean, why do people always think they're entitled to free stuff? I've never understood that. But this is reported by Fox News. A group of teen girls in New Jersey reportedly became abusive towards the manager of a Dunkin' in Montclair after their request for free donuts was refused, according to the Montclair Police Department. Okay. Why they're doing it in quotes abusive, I don't know. But nevertheless, when they were told to leave, the girls were not wearing masks. Oh, the girls who were not wearing masks. Okay, so they were in violation of a mask ordinance. They were told to leave. Then assaulted the manager and attacked two customers during the August 26th incident, police added. One female assaulted the manager while another attempted to get behind the counter, said police in a statement obtained by Newsweek. Two customers observed the altercation and attempted to intervene. Okay, that's not a violation of social contract. That is upholding the social contract and making sure that people that are in the wrong and committing crimes are dealt with. Too many times, and I am so freaking sick and tired of this. This guy did this. Well, how do you know? Because we have video of it from 17 different freaking cell phones. Well, how come no one? There's 17 fucking people there that could have stopped it. Whatever. That's my soapbox for another day. No injuries were reported, and a representative of the Montclair Police was not available to comment. Duncan has required guests at all locations wear face coverings or masks as of August 5th. The state of New Jersey, too, requires all customers over the age of 2 to wear face coverings when entering a dining establishment unless prevented by a medical condition. Okay, so this is one of those poorly written articles. And in that they were... The title of the article says, Unmasked Girls Assault Dunkin' Manager After Being Denied Free Donuts. But nowhere in the damn story does it say anything about the free donuts they were denied. It's really just the mask story. They were told to leave after they weren't wearing the masks, and then they became, douche canoes.
Yeah, I think I fell victim to clickbait on this one.
What, you don't read the stories you send me?
No.
What the hell, man?
I just I lightly glance over them. I'm like, blah blah, Dunkin' free donuts. See, I found Dunkin' in there, so I knew that was somewhere included. I overlooked donuts. I did not find that cited in the article, and I am sorry.
See, that's the thing now. See, I don't do printed media. I also don't read stories online typically. Mostly because, and I've covered this in other podcasts, I am severely dyslexic. So I actually have to go over these ahead of time, and you'll hear me stutter through them, and that's why. But what I am so freaking sick and tired of is all these witnesses that see stuff, and they never intervene, number one. Number two is I'm sick and tired of seeing these videos of these people saying, I'm not wearing a mask. Okay, you don't have to wear a mask. Go away. Don't. Just go away. Yeah. You don't have a right to be in a private place. And guess what? Dunkin' Donuts, which incidentally, when did it become Dunkin' and not Dunkin' Donuts? The sign still says donuts on it. But you don't have a right to be there. And if they say you gotta leave, you gotta leave.
That's kind of like the way that personal property works. I mean, just because a business is there doesn't mean they have to allow you in the door. Like, that's the thing. Like, they can actually, like, refuse to let you in their establishment. And they really don't need that great of a reason. It's
they
just
really don't.
You don't see it happen more often because that's bad for business. That's really bad for business.
Well, and here's the whole thing: if you don't want to wear a mask, fine. Don't go someplace where they require it. And I can relate to this because I do wear a mask. I'm not on that side of it. I wear a mask all the dang time. But if I go up to a business and it has a sign on the door that says no weapons, no firearms, okay, well then I'm not going in. Whether I'm armed or not, just because I choose not to do business with a place that has that restriction. And that's just my personal thing. And it's like, okay, well, I'll spend my money somewhere else. It's just my choice. But right. I don't go in there and say, your sign be damned. Ha ha ha.
I'm offended. You know what? Tough shit.
I'm offended and you should know about it.
Yeah. You're offended? Good. Tough. We're not changing the rules just because you are offended. Dunkin' Donuts has been in business for decades. And, I mean, like, I was hoping that this was going to go somewhere about free donuts so that way we can make fun of these noobs. But, I mean, like, I apologize to our loyal 4 listeners. And
I think we're up to 9.
Yeah, boy. Come on, man. I'll tell you what. You know what? I mean, I can feel double digits coming this week, dude. I can feel double digits.
Well, yeah, you're out there like, advertising with your doctors and stuff, so why not?
Hey, you know what? All my best friends are named ologist. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, moving on, and we're down here in my neck of the woods, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, where we have
Yay.
the Oklahoma City Police Department responded to a Taco Bell in the 1000 block of St. Meridian Saturday night just before 9 p.m. in reference to a call about a man going through the drive-thru naked. I take that in for a minute. This is Oklahoma. You don't want to see anybody from Oklahoma naked. That includes me right now. I've gotten really fat while I'm here. But, yeah, so naked dude in the drive-thru. Okay. And it's not a young naked dude either, because according to the police reports, Christopher Sale, 61, was in his vehicle in the drive-thru completely naked. Sale paid for his order at the restaurant and then reportedly asked employees for an additional taco. So he's like, what, my little friend here needs a taco? I mean, this is obviously somebody who's getting some kind of sexual thrill out of this. I made you look at my wiener. It's the equivalent of the old guy in the trench coat. Ha ha! Flash! You saw my wiener.
Does anywhere in the article describe him driving a, suspicious-looking van?
Let's find out. One of the employees was not comfortable with this, and another employee gave him the additional taco when he then asked for more sauce, still not leaving the drive-thru. Sale asked for napkins after receiving the sauce and then eventually left the drive-thru, only to come back and ask for more sauce for his food.
I'm glad that he had the cognizance to ask for napkins, because I can't imagine getting that extra hot taco shit from Taco Bell on your junk or something.
Ooh. I remember we had an individual who got sprayed with
I was
with
just
pepper
about
spray.
ready to say that, man. And in the shower, oh my balls!
No,
oh my balls!
no, that's not what he said. So we've referenced this several times. We worked in the Department of Corrections together at one point in our lives, and one of the things that they used to do, they don't anymore. They used to do it, is within the first couple days, you got sprayed with pepper spray, right in the face, boom, every time.
They're not doing that anymore.
They're not. So you got sprayed with pepper spray, and they had a bucket there with some water, and if you're lucky, they had some baby shampoo. Well, one individual, actually it was two really good ones in that instance. One of them just literally took off running, just turned and ran, and we had to chase him down and tackle him before he hit the road. The other one, he dealt with it well enough, and then went into the locker room to take a shower. Well, the thing about pepper spray is it still follows the laws of gravity. And when he was taking said shower and holding up and looking into the water to wash his eyes out, said pepper spray then washed down his face, down his neck, down his chest, down his abdomen, and then into his genital area. I said that as essentially as I could. Which then
I really wish I had my credit card out when you did that, dude.
Which then erupted into cries of, "My Jimmy's on fire! My Jimmy's on fire!"
Was that an individual a sergeant?
No.
Okay.
Just
making sure.
But I believe he is now a federal agent.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes,
okay.
indeedy. I believe that's who it was. I can't remember exactly. Nevertheless, can you not do that in my microphone, please? God, be considerate.
I tried to turn my head, and I'm so sorry, dude.
Be considerate.
I really am.
Be considerate to our listeners.
I apologize to all 4 of you. All 9 of you.
All 9 of you. 9. When police were able to detain Sale, he told them he was hungry and all of his clothes were in the washer. He also stated to police that he didn't know it was against the law to drive naked. Okay, so bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit. This was something for a sexual thrill. We've all seen this heard this and seen stories like this throughout our lifetime. People do this. Whether it's just sitting along the road, rubbing one out and hoping a woman looks in the window and sees you with your winky in your hand, going hee hee hee. But the old adage of, well, I didn't know that was illegal. Well, in that case, well, now you know, sir. Don't do it again. And said no cop ever. None.
Yeah, no, not once.
Not once. Even when they, I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't speed.
You will never get a mulligan by claiming I didn't know as your defense. You'll never get a mulligan.
I mean,
It'll never ever happen.
It ranks right up there with these aren't my pants, officer.
Like, I was never a cop, but even when inmates would break the rules, I would actually bring ink and paper into it if their excuse for being a dipshit was, well, I didn't know. It's like, no.
And you were a freaking hugger too.
I really was. Like, that's why I'm saying it. Like, even me, even I would bring ink and paper into the transaction if they were to claim ignorance. I didn't know that was against the rules. I was like, the first fucking thing you got was the handbook, and the first thing you were told was to read it. Like,
I remember having to go over misconducts with you occasionally because you were. Is this how you write these?
Yeah, I think I worked there for 7 years. I think I wrote less than 10 misconduct reports.
I actually was looking around, and I found in a box of computer stuff a thumb drive that I had. It was about just a gig, and all it was Word documents. It was my misconducts only when I worked for probation, not when I worked at the prison for 5 years.
I thought you were going to say only when you worked with me, and I was going to be like, I'm glad that somebody has evidence.
No, you and I never worked together. We weren't allowed.
You know what? Again, we worked there for 5 years, and I think that I count the number of times that we actually got posted together on two hands. I don't think it happened a lot in the very beginning of both of our careers there, until all the supervisors realized that it was just a terrible idea. It was just because we were both young and dumb. As opposed to being middle-aged and dumb.
Originally, this podcast, when we were coming up with ideas for it, we're gonna do a podcast. What's the subject gonna be? And if you go back to episode 1, it's very different than what it is now, and that's just over 14 episodes. But originally, the podcast was titled "Tales from the Wicket," and it was gonna be all prison stories and law enforcement stuff. And we quickly realized that a lot of those, the statute of limitations still applies.
Yeah. It really does. It really does.
But the idea of you're just going to say, why? I didn't know I couldn't do that.
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it really is. But the sexual thrill aspect of it, because that's what it was. I can virtually guarantee that without going into the psychological bullshit and interviewing the guy myself or actually being there. That's why people do this. That is why the whole thing comes out. Is they either have a extreme mental illness or it's for sexual gratification. It doesn't mean that you're gonna all of a sudden you're gonna mess. That's why I needed the napkins. No, that's for when you get home, because now you can remember that scene where they looked at me. And
right.
People,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. But the one employee goes, I'm not comfortable with this. Well, no shit, Kung Fu. Yeah. It is what it is. Moving on. We got one more story, and of course, this is our obligatory tale from Florida. Cue the theme music.
Florida man, does whatever the fuck he can. Makes headlines every time. Florida's paradigm. Look out! Here comes Florida man.
And here comes a Florida man that was pulled over for DUI and argued he only drank his bourbon at stop signs with the police.
What a responsible alcoholic.
Hey, the law says I can't drink and drive. I wasn't driving. I was stopped at the stop sign.
Now, never mind.
No, go ahead.
No, it's not even that. It's just I thought of something, and I really believe that it's only funny inside of my own mind. So I'm just, I'm electing to omit that from my random statement count today.
So, can it really be considered drinking and driving if you only sip alcohol while stopped? That's the question one man raised when a deputy pulled him over for drunk driving on June 27th. According to the police report obtained by the Smoking Gun, Earl Stevens Jr., 69, was stopped by a police officer when a woman called authorities and said a man ran into the back of her car over and over at the McDonald's drive-thru. Yeah, I think that would constitute a police encounter. Just boom, boom, boom. Didn't even just tap her once. No, he was hitting her over and over again.
Told him to make this wild turkey a McDouble, damn it.
No, I don't need a large soda. I've got my wild turkey right here. A deputy arrived on scene, police said, and the woman told the officer that Stevens was the driver of the offending car. Police told the Treasure Coast newspaper that Stevens had an open bottle of bourbon in the front passenger seat and said he felt pretty good. How you doing today, sir? Pretty good. I'm blitzed. After learning Stevens didn't have a valid Florida driver's license, the deputy wrote that he asked the 69-year-old if he had been drinking that day. According to the Smoking Gun, Stevens allegedly answered yes and said he had about 3 drinks. But he said no when asked if he had been drinking in the vehicle. Police said and instead argued that he only drank at stop signs and traffic signals. Well, no, that's not going to work, buddy.
No, because technically, not even technically, you are actually drinking and driving. Like that, and that is against the law. He's probably
well, thank you for that. Thank you for that excellent legal analysis.
You know what? If it didn't come from me, it ain't valid. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
You know. But no, seriously though, he's trying to argue, well, I was only drinking at stop signs and stoplights. Well, that's drinking and driving. You are actually doing both things, not simultaneously. And his argument, well, I wasn't doing it while I was driving. Well, drinking while driving, albeit just as illegal, really doesn't apply because drinking and driving is also an infraction, sir. So you are going down.
Thank you for enlightening us on that. Please.
We'll just, you know what, later on, just edit that out.
I might. A police report says that Stevens told the officer he drove from Port St. Lucia to Indian River County while actively drinking. well, what, instead of passively drinking? It's a roughly 30-minute drive between the two. The deputy said Stevens had bloodshot eyes, and his breathing smelled of alcohol. After taking field sobriety test, he was found with an alcohol content of 0.153, which, if you're not aware, that means you were embalmed. He was charged with DUI and driving without a license. You know, people when they have these outrageous blood alcohol contents, I often wonder how they're even standing upright in most cases. But then again, there's some people out there that drink so much that they need that much just to level themselves out. We've known those people. He had twice been charged with DUI while in Missouri. In May, a Florida doctor was found drunkenly asleep with his pants down while behind the wheel of a car in reverse, police said. So we're moving on to somebody else, but Dr. Lewis something...
But where was that? Where was that?
Oh, this is all Florida, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
He was allegedly found sleeping in Venice Beach's Indian River Mall parking lot, touching his genitals. Hey, dude, when you got to rub one out, you got to rub one out. Any port in a storm. Come on.
I was about ready to... No, again, just that filter just stopped it.
Police said an officer twice asked him what happened. He just responded, no. Sir, are you okay? Is something wrong? No. Well, what happened here? No. He eventually fell to the ground while doing balance exercises, police said, and tried to grab his genitals as officers of the office, tried to grab the genitals of the officers as they attempted to put him into a chair. Did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
Nope.
There's a character they run into. His name's Chucky. And he's got chronic masturbation syndrome. He always has his hand down his pants and just going to town. Every time you see him, eventually they cut his fingers off. But that's kind of how I'm envisioning right now is Chucky. But what is with... I mean, we have a theme song on the show for people from Florida. But it just seems like they're not stupid, but they have a willful ignorance. Like, I am intentionally going to act stupid and just see what I can get away with. Because do people get away with that shit down there?
I don't know, man, but it just seems to me like Florida, of all the benefits they have and blah, 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 read the flyers and brochures, one thing that they've completely run out of, no more of this exists in Florida, and that is apparently giving a fuck. Yeah, like nobody down there gives any of them.
I want them. Not one. I want if they put that on the license plate, I might move to Florida. Florida, no fucks given.
I would comb eBay for like probably 20 to 30 minutes trying to find one before I gave up.
Florida, they did that. No fucks given.
I mean, like seriously, or like putting it on one of those big fingers. You get like a sports game, like Florida, 0 fucks given. It's like, yes.
Nah, it's either that or it's going to say Florida, meth, more than once. Oh, geez. Florida's just a place that I think if you go anywhere other than where the tourists are meant to go, you are entering America's trailer park.
The nexus of social liabilities.
Well, see, formerly it was retirement state. That's where everyone went to retire because of the way their tax laws worked and the fact that it was bloody warm. But now anymore, it just seems like it's a haven for...
It's a social liability black hole.
Well, thank you for that. But
I figured that you did something clever with your voice earlier, so I was just gonna do something clever with mine.
That was sexy Raz.
Well, I just wanted to do like trying to be funny and not quite hitting the mark buck. Like yeah.
Well, I would point out that even when I was using my sexy voice, I was talking about somebody lighting their genitals on fire with pepper spray.
That's why you had so much enthusiasm behind of it. I see now. Yes.
And you know why we had to get sprayed with pepper spray, even though we didn't have it? I can tell you why if you don't.
No, I do know why. For court purposes.
No.
Well then, damn it! You couldn't even let me sound smart for just a second. Fine. What's the real reason?
Lieutenant Johnny B. I'm going to tell you the story of Lieutenant Johnny B. And I'm not going to say his full name, but if you everyone knows who this is. Lieutenant Johnny B, for those of you that have spent time in any of our fine establishments of adult corrections, a lot of times in facilities, the only individuals that are carrying said offensive weapon was the shift commanders, in this case, lieutenants. And we had a lieutenant by the name of Johnny B. Johnny B loved to spray pepper spray. He did it more often than anybody else, except for save one. The biggest difference between that lieutenant and Lieutenant Johnny B was Lieutenant Johnny B could not aim.
I know this. I know this personally. The only time I've ever been shot in the face with pepper spray, other than that stupid ass yearly training that we had to do, was by Lieutenant Johnny B. And the person who got to see it all from the eye in the sky was Mr. Raz.
And that was the day I think I saved your butt. I want to point that out. But
you did.
Everybody and their mother got sprayed by this guy except the inmates. The guy was a menace.
Painfully true, man. Painfully true.
We had an officer who ended up going to be a police officer. I'm trying to remember what his first name was so I can identify him. But he was being so nosy one day. There was a crack in the wall between units A and B. And he was looking through that crack. And he got sprayed through the crack by Lieutenant Johnny B. So not only is he so good that he can hit a CO from across the room, he can hit a CO in another room.
In another housing unit.
That's what I'm saying. And I really hope he listens to this podcast. I really do, because I'd love for him to know that we are still telling the story of how bad he was with pepper spray.
Yeah, but he was a great third shift commander.
And by great, you mean he just left you alone.
Look at the other third shift commanders that we have to compare him to.
One of them had a monkey.
Yes. That was humping my ex-wife's head.
Good monkey. That being said, that's all we have for this week on the
that monkey's name was Joey. I just want everybody to know that. I got to shout out to Joey the monkey. All right, so go ahead, close us down now, Raz.
That's all we have for this week for episode 14 of the Social Liability Podcast. We do ask that if you enjoyed our podcast, not only do you hit the subscribe button, but if you consider doing two other things, and that is leave us a review, 5 stars, because you know how excellent we are, and also just tell a friend. I mean, really, we're really trying to make this take off. And we're available on so many platforms. You can't say you can't find us, because we're on Anchor, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Overcast, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Google Podcast, Castbox, Radio Public, and the video version is also available on our YouTube channel if you just search for the Mount Moon Crew. Whoo! Keep going. Speak, Buck.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Have a great week.
No, you're supposed to pay attention because it's a free podcast, and the only thing you ask.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And remember, all you got to do is just pay us attention.
Because you get this podcast each and every week for the low price of $0. And right now, it's even ad-free, folks. It's ad-free. You get at least a half hour, 45 minutes of funny for nothing. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. Maybe we should get like Johnny Depp's name in the credit reel or something. People might get...
Okay, that being said, folks, have a week.